welcome everyone to our next Fireside Chat. Today I'm here with my very dear friend, Sam Leonardi. He drove in from Rochester to be with us today, so I want to thank him for that. Sam, why don't you tell us a little bit about your career, your experience, and why you think I invited you here today?
My name is Sam Leonardi. I have been in the life and long-term care insurance business for a little over 40 years. I've seen a few things in my day. Amanda and I have been friends for many years and have worked together. And I certainly want to thank her and her amazing team for allowing me to be here today and provide information to you.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. So this is even more timely than I may have imagined. I actually got a fairly panicked call at the beginning of last week from a client who said, Amanda, I don't know if you do this, but I think that you might know somebody who could help me. So the problem was they just gotten a letter from their life insurance company letting them know that there was going to be a significant increase to the insurance that they had, which really wasn't going to be affordable. And they just wondered if there was any alternatives to that. So I connected them with Sam, which is great. So I just want to talk a little bit about how that conversation went, and maybe when guaranteed issue or senior life final expense type insurance might make sense for somebody.
Amanda, there's certainly a myriad of choices in the life insurance business. If you're in very good health, we have several choices. Most of your clientele is in the 65 plus age range, as are some of the people on this podcast. But we know that there are some health issues in that age group. So we do have senior life or guaranteed issue products today in New York, and we can get you life insurance coverage with no health questions, no background checks or credit checks. So we can just sign your name, pay a premium, and you can be covered. It's a nice option for many people, and it's guaranteed whole life coverage, so it'll be enforced when you die.
What are some of the reasons that somebody might want to have insurance? I think that there's sort of a myth that maybe when you're older, you don't even need life insurance anymore.
That's an excellent point. I believe that, there are several reasons that you should consider owning life insurance in retirement. First and foremost, what we always think of is burial and paying last expenses. Your credit card debt, your mortgage, all need to be paid, and they will be paid out of your estate if you don't have life insurance, diminishing the inheritance for your heirs. If one of the spouses were to die, you would lose their Social Security, so we can replace that lost income, and that can be significant for many people.
Sure.
Again, covering debt and replacing income, whether it's a pension that you lose or it's reduced by half because of a death. Certainly those things can be offset by a lump sum of money, aka life insurance. So there's a number of reasons to maintain it into retirement. Sometimes, we purchase term insurance. It gets more expensive as we get older. Now we're in our 60s or 70s, and our term insurance is too expensive, or it simply ends, and we don't have any alternatives because of our health. But we do have an alternative, so keep that in mind. The other things that we think about when we look at life insurance for folks our age is cost. Certainly, we have a number of products that are available, so we will, quote you several and give you the most competitive rates that are available to us.
So is it safe to say that if somebody maybe still really healthy, not taking many medicines, isn't seeing a lot of doctors for chronic health conditions, they might want to explore final expense, but also maybe want to consider an underwritten plan to, take advantage of that good health rating?
Absolutely, Amanda. Certainly, if we're in good health, and I mentioned that, we have literally hundreds of options. We have choices of product, of premiums, of coverages. Where senior life or guaranteed issue life, we can get certain maximum amounts. There would be limited benefits in the first 2 years of guaranteed issue coverage, where we wouldn't have that restriction with a fully underwritten plan. And the reason there would be those limitations is because the company doesn't have the ability to evaluate the risk. And that's what we're talking about, is risk, the risk of death. So if you were to die in the first 2 years, you would get your premium back plus interest. After that, you get 100% of the benefit, no questions asked. So there are a number of options and opportunities for us. If you're healthy, we certainly have a myriad of options. If you're not healthy, then we have certainly choices also.
With the final expense insurance.
Yes.
What would the process kind of be like for somebody if they wanted to explore a final expense policy?
I would first have a phone conversation with them. If it was necessary, we would meet in person, determine what your needs are, what you're looking for, what your budget is, which is always going to dictate what we do, because I also live in the real world. And then we can explore different options, look at different plans, different products, whether it makes sense to go through underwriting or whether you need to have a guaranteed issue final expense product.
Okay, so I wanted to clarify when you said with final expense or guaranteed issue life insurance, meaning they're not going to ask those health questions, they're not going to make you have an exam with a visiting nurse to find out what underwriting stuff is going on. With that final expense guaranteed issue, you said something about 2 years. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Certainly. To get a guaranteed issue life insurance policy, it's literally sign your name, fill out an application, no health questions, no credit check, pay a premium, and you're covered, period. If you were to die in the first 2 years from your policy date, they would refund your premiums only. They would not pay the death benefit. After that 2 years, the 100% of the death benefit is available to you.
Okay, that's good. I didn't know if maybe there'd be a period of time where they wouldn't pay anything and then they'd pay some. So it's 2 years return of premium. After that, the full coverage of the face amount or the coverage amount of the plan.
That's correct.
Okay. Anything else about final expense insurance?
No, I think we've pretty much covered it. It's very simple in nature.
Yeah.
It's a guaranteed product. The premium will never increase. The coverage will always be in force as long as you're alive. Certainly to pay a benefit at your death.
Okay, because other insurance plans do have age restrictions. So term insurance in New York, I can't remember the age that.
Term insurance usually terminates at age 80.
Okay.
So I could be paying for 20 or 30 years. And then if I live beyond age 80, I have no benefit.
Oh, that doesn't sound good. I mean, I know that people carry different amounts of insurance throughout their life for different reasons, but really what we're sort of looking at here is that I want to make sure that there's some, flow of cash, tax-free benefit.
Yeah, death benefits, completely income tax-free.
Nice.
So you're paid directly to your beneficiary outside of your estate in your will. So there's a lot of advantages to owning a life insurance policy, certainly in retirement or at any point in your life, actually.
Okay. So the last question I had about final expense insurance, I would assume since they're not asking those health questions and they're on the hook after 2 years for that full amount, there must be some sort of cap on how much companies would allow, right?
How much insurance coverage?
Yeah.
Yeah, the maximum in New York per company will issue is $25,000.
Okay.
So we could go to more than one company and get you more than that. That would be part of that conversation we have in determining what you actually need.
Right. So what do you hope the insurance is going to provide for, and really what are you looking to cover?
That's correct. Absolutely.
Okay. I'm sure you're really good at helping people work through those conversations, and it's really not an easy topic. I mean, I think about my husband and losing him and how tragic that would be, and I don't know. We've still done our life insurance planning, so we have had those conversations, but I can certainly say that knowing that my family would have income if something were to happen to me really is a significant peace of mind. So the senior life market is a little bit different because of those caps on amounts, but just to know that someone's not gonna have to struggle to figure out funeral costs and stuff like that is a nice gift to leave somebody, really.
Absolutely, absolutely. If you don't want to be a burden to your family, that's the ultimate gift from cash.
True. What other types of questions do you have from more of a senior market? So you mentioned, working in the Medicare space, my clients tend to be 65 and over. I know in our last Fireside Chat, we had Melissa in from Aging Advocates talking about some of the concerns that people have as they age. Certainly one of the biggest factors of that is long-term care. I believe you have some expertise in that as well.
I've made a career on long-term care and long-term care planning. Some of the things the reasons you would look at long-term care, of course, would be to not be a burden to your family is the number one reason, to preserve your assets and to protect what you've worked your entire life for.
Okay.
What long-term care planning does and long-term care insurance is provide the dollars to pay for your care. Once we get to this point in our lives, I'm sure we've had an experience with a long-term care situation, whether it's a parent or grandparent or a friend or a brother or sister. So someone had provided that care to them. Who was it? How much did that care cost? What was the toll on the family? We see that all the time. And what the insurance will do is provide the money to help pay for the care, whether it's for 100% of the cost or just to help supplement the retirement savings that I have if I need care. The other issue is, excuse me, the other issue is if I get sick and my wife needs to take care of me and I spend, and so say it's an extended illness, and I spend thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars on my care, what does that leave her to live on?
Yeah.
And that's a major concern. So I don't want to leave her destitute. When does she stop paying for my care? So long-term care insurance can help protect and preserve those assets.
There isn't any such thing as guaranteed issue long-term care insurance,
Not
right?
guaranteed issue long-term care insurance, no.
Um,
So that would be a fully underwritten plan. We understand, the companies understand that people are a little older at that point, and there are some health conditions. Many of them are overlooked, and they're different than they look at for life insurance because we're looking at morbidity, which is disability statistics, versus mortality when you're going to die. People can live a long time with diabetes. People can live a long time with other chronic conditions that maybe life insurance takes a very serious look at.
What's the process for that type of insurance? Obviously, the initial conversation.
Long-term care insurance is certainly, in my opinion, a more involved conversation. I would sit down with you and preferably in person, and we would go over, some of your finances, what you're looking at to accomplish, your health situation, again, your financial situation and affordability of product. And there are several products available, Amanda. Truly, in today's market, we have a lot of options. We have traditional long-term care insurance, which is just pays benefit for nursing home, assisted living, and more importantly, home care. Initially, most of the claims are home care claims, and sometimes you never get beyond that. But with the costs of home care today between $25 and $30 an hour, you can be close to $1,000 a week for 4 hours of care. And that's in addition to my regular household expenses. So I think that, it's important to have some type of coverage. It is underwritten, certainly, so we evaluate that. And you don't have to, you buy a certain dollar amount. So you buy what you want or need based on affordability, and we move forward from there. If there are health conditions, we do have a guaranteed issue home care product, and you actually prepay hours of home care benefits.
Interesting.
So we can offer that, and we do it quite often, in fact, and that works out well for those folks that have the need but not the health to buy. The important thing about long-term care coverage and planning is, we can involve your family if you choose. I like to do that so they know what your plan is and how you're going to pay for it. I can't tell you how many phone calls I get saying, "Oh, we just found mom and dad's long-term care policy, and it was in a drawer for the last 5 years that dad was in receiving home care. We could have used that." Well, we can use it still. There's no problem with that. So, and we can help you with the claims process. It's not that complicated in today's world, but we can still get involved and help you with that process. And that's important because it's a difficult time. And one of the key features of a long-term care policy is you have a care coordinator that's paid for by the company, not you. So they have an advocate for you that will help you, working with your doctor and your family, design a plan of care to keep you in the least restrictive environment. If you want to stay at home, they'll do everything they can. The good policies will pay for ramps, lowering of countertops, widening doorways, things of that nature, so you can stay at home. Why would a company do that? because staying at home is less expensive than going to a nursing home.
That's true.
So now I'm on the same side as the company, which is kind of nice in the insurance business,
Yeah.
as opposed to adversarial. I do think, and if pure long-term care, traditional long-term care, which is health insurance, is not what you're looking for, not what you're looking at, there's also most of our life insurance products today also offer a long-term care benefit. So we can use the death benefit to pay for long-term care expenses. So it will pay whether I die or become disabled.
I sort of did hesitate to have a conversation about life insurance and long-term care. I really want these podcast episodes to be educational, give you some sort of almost consumer advocate-y kind of information and pre-education so that you can really make good decisions when you engage with a professional like Sam. But I've just seen, after the conversation that we had with Melissa, after seeing and hearing from clients recently about changes in, like I said, life insurance premium costs, I just wanted to make sure that people had a good outlet that they could ask their important questions, and that I know that they would get respectful and honest answers.
And that's why I'm here today. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Amanda is not just fantastic at what she does. She knows quality people who can help you with the rest of your financial picture.
Any final thoughts before we sign off?
Well, I do believe that if you do have questions, feel free to give me a call. There's certainly no obligation. I can be reached at 585-703-6250, or my email address is samleonardi6250@gmail.com.
And that contact information will be shown on the screen. So
okay. And everything we talk about is confidential. It doesn't come back to this office. It stays between you and I.
Yeah, he wouldn't even be able to tell me that you'd met with him. So confidentiality is important. Okay. I appreciate the time that you spent, talking about the need for at least some amount of life insurance, if it's possible, in our older years, and the need and sort of the outlets for having that long-term care financing kind of conversation. So even if, somebody is, doesn't decide to go through the process, I think they'll at least know and be a lot more empowered to make decisions about why they are or aren't going to move forward with something.
And it's important to know what your choices are.
Yeah.
And if you have no choices left, we can certainly work with your attorney, or we have attorneys that we are, elder law attorneys that we're well aware of and work with regularly that can help you in that aspect of it.
Thanks for making the drive in.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thanks for coming on to the podcast. All right. I appreciate you.
You're welcome.
All right.
Take care.
Thanks.
Bye. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the I'm with Amanda Medicare podcast. Please make sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts so you don't miss an episode. Also, please leave a review, as that helps me reach more people that can benefit from this podcast's content. If you have questions or topics you want me to cover for a future episode, please email them to info@imwithamanda.com. I look forward to hearing from you. Like any good industry, we do have compliance requirements, so here's my disclosure. We are not a government agency. We are licensed insurance agents who discuss insurance programs such as Medicare Advantage, Medicare Supplements, and Medicare Part D prescription drug coverage. Any specific plan information I provide is limited to the plans I offer in your area. Please contact Medicare.gov or 1-800-MEDICARE to get information on all of your options. Thank you.